No matter how slick J.D. Vance looked or sounded last night, it was clear to everyone who watched the debate that he's just a liar. Now, his lies may look different than Donald Trump's. They may sound different than Donald Trump's. He may put them together better, but they're still lies. And when he was asked whether or not he would have certified the results of the 2020 election, his non-answer, like Tim Walz said, was damning. So damning and indefensible that it was what was remembered for the rest of the night. Not any of the spin that J.D. Vance tried to put on the conspiracies that him and Donald Trump pushed. No, we just remembered that J.D. Vance is a liar who would be willing to attack our democracy. And so when we went to the spin room last night, we saw a lot of indefensible defense of those comments from all the different Trump stooges there, chief among them Don Jr., who is the biggest fan of J.D. Vance, maybe the person most responsible for getting his father to pick him as his nominee. And Kaitlin Collins was pushing back on Don Jr. in what was a pretty awkward interview, and you could see just how flustered Don Jr. was throughout most of it. And I want to get into that, but before I do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you enjoyed this channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in supporting what we're doing. Now let's check out this clip.
J.D. Vance as his running mate famously a few months ago. How do you think he did tonight?
I thought it was a masterclass. It was just an incredible performance, just real command of the facts. Didn't let sort of the fake fact check, try to steamroll him. He came back with actual facts. I think he literally won every issue across the board. I think he was actually very comfortable on so many of the issues that Republicans tend to fail. He was probably more comfortable in those issues than most Republicans are, even on our strong points. So I think it was an incredible debate.
Do you think he was more comfortable in those issues than your dad was in the last debate?
Well, I don't think, it wasn't necessarily a 3-on-1 debate. It started that way. I think J.D. Vance shut that down, and there were rules, and we said they should be enforced. Those rules were not enforced with my father. I think what happened in his debate was absolutely disgusting, and I think the American people witnessed that. I think they saw the bias that's out there in the media. I think they see that we are literally up against $1 trillion of mainstream media. You're up against $1 trillion of big tech functioning as the marketing department for the other side. But the reality is, Kaitlin, the world is watching what's going on right now. They see it when they go to the grocery stores on a daily basis. They watch Iran, not through proxies, but directly attacking Israel right now. We could be on the brink of World War III. You notice how those things didn't happen under Donald Trump. You may not like everything that he says. You may not always like his demeanor. But the dictators of the world understood strength. They understood the resolve that we saw after he got shot in the face coming back to fight. And they didn't trifle with that. We've been leading with incompetence and weakness for 4 years. The world has watched, and they've capitalized on that. Our enemies, Iran, wants Kamala Harris to be president. They've said that. They've leaked documents to her, stolen from our campaign, that they hacked. Russia has said they want Kamala Harris to be president because a weak America is good for Russia. A weak America is good for Iran, and a weak America is great for China, all of whom are chomping at the bit for a Harris-Walz administration and the continuation of the Biden policies that have failed America for the last 3.5 years.
Well, and I should note, when you talk about Iran, Iran did hit American troops when your dad was in office. I covered that, and today he was asked about that. He likened the traumatic brain injuries to headaches. But on the debate itself, it was very civil. They acknowledged when they agreed. They gave each other the benefit of the doubt. Should we see more of that on the debate stage when your dad's up there?
You know what? I'd love to see that across the board. Sometimes the political climate isn't that much. We've all heard about Trump derangement syndrome. We've seen what they've lied about to my family. I was an agent of Russia, but Hunter Biden's laptop was totally Russian disinformation. Turns out the opposite was true. The media did that. They created so much of that environment. The media has radicalized the people that are trying to kill my father. I've had to deal with that twice now in the last 2 months. I've had to have that conversation with my 5 young children twice in the last 2 months about someone trying to shoot their grandfather. That didn't just magically happen. That's not him. That's a media-created fake Russia scenario. They ran with it for years. Even when it was disproven, they still ran with it. That environment wasn't just created by Donald Trump.
Okay, but can I say, you can't blame, and everyone wants your dad to be safe. No one wants the threats against his life to happen, but you can't blame the media for those threats. There's been no evidence that's what drove those.
And allows people to have a platform to call someone literally Hitler every day for 9 years, it creates it.
Okay.
Whether you want to believe it or not, that's a fact.
But as you know, J.D. Vance once likened your dad to Hitler as well. He questioned if he was America's Hitler. But I want to talk about the debate. Do you want your dad to do another debate after seeing tonight?
You know what? I don't think he can have a chance at getting a fair debate. I don't think there's moderators out there that will do that. I think there are probably Fox moderators that are so worried about even trying to appease the left that they'd actually maybe even
Well, your
lean
dad
that
said
way.
CNN gave him a fair debate.
Well, he offered to do the Fox debate, just so we're clear. My father, weeks ago, said, I'll do a Fox debate too. Kamala Harris turned that down because she can only go in, like she can only do an interview with a sidekick like Tim Walz on her side. She can only do it when she knows she's going to have that upper hand. So I don't think in this environment you can do it. The reality is this. What's unique about this election is you had 4 years under Trump. You had 4 years under Harris-Biden. We know the policies are going to be the same because she cut and pasted them onto her webpage and didn't even change the source code. So you can have more of the last 4 years, or we can go back to a time of peace and prosperity. It's a very simple choice.
But
people can go into a grocery store today. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And the answer is no.
On your argument about your dad doing another debate, obviously he has said right now that he thinks another debate would be too late. But is he letting J.D. Vance, his running mate, would be his vice president, have the last word in that case? Are you okay with that?
I'm fine with it. I mean, I think they get along great. I think, again, J.D.'s debate performance tonight totally speaks for itself. The reality is this. I mean, I commented on Twitter. I'm watching. Tim Walz is listening to J.D. I think he's voting for us. I mean, he was nodding along in agreement on all of the things that J.D. was saying because he actually spoke with facts. He called out all of the nonsense. And I think it was an absolute masterclass performance.
Well, and Vance said he agreed with Governor Walz on some things as well. Donald Trump Jr., thank you for your time tonight.
Really great seeing pushback there from Kaitlin Collins on what are just some clear lies that J.D. Vance pushed last night. Again, he's a little bit more calm than Donald Trump while doing it. He certainly didn't scream about cats, dogs, and geese, but if that is the bar that you have to clear, it just shows how disgraceful the Republican Party is. But I still think Vance had a relatively poor performance at the debate last night. Again, because it was so clear how much of a disingenuous liar he is. And it's the same reason why Trump doesn't want to do another debate, going so far as to say it again last night after. And before we get into some of the crazy reactions to last night's debate, I want to check out what Trump had to say on Truth Social. Lion Kamala just put out a request for another debate because they lost so badly tonight. Again, it's like the fighter who lost gets up and says, I want a rematch. I beat Biden. I then beat her. And I'm not looking to do it again. Too far down the line. Votes already cast. And I'm leading big in the polls. I'll make America great again. She's incapable of it. So once again, we see a scared Donald Trump, which I guess at this point is just a Donald Trump. He does not want to debate because he knows he cannot. He knows he can't lie like J.D. Vance and try to get away with things, even though, like I said, it's clear that Vance is a liar. But he has no interest in debating, even if he knows that his Fox propaganda network would back him up. And that's exactly what Fox did with J.D. Vance's performance last night. Jesse Waters was a little too excited, in my opinion. It was pretty weird. Let's check it out.
Oops. I mean, he said he was in China during Tiananmen Square. I wasn't in China. That's pretty bad. J.D. Vance, everybody thought this guy was a bad guy. They were saying he was a creep. He looked beautiful tonight. He looked humble. He looked earnest, sharp, 20 years younger than Walz, new generation. I thought he was very polished. And then Walz didn't do what Walz was supposed to do.
Calling Vance beautiful, I don't know. I guess he's got some pretty blue eyes, but it seems a little strange to make that your description of his debate performance. But Jesse Waters clearly enthused there. But over at a network where they don't just lie for a living at MSNBC, Joy Reid had an incredible point that she made about J.D. Vance's lies that I think we should take a look at.
But he said, number one, nothing memorable. There's nothing clippable in what he said. They were just all smooth, bland lies. He got outdone by by Tim Walz, who may be awkward. It took him a while to get warmed up, but he won the debate because he actually had substance. He was relatable, and he didn't go in there to slay J.D. Vance. He went in there to show himself, and he showed himself to be bipartisan. He showed himself to be reasonable. Practical. He showed himself to be practical. He acted as a governor. And a lot of people are complaining that he didn't knock J.D. Vance out and that he wasn't rhetorically cruel. But that was not his job. It was obvious that his job was to sell Kamala Harris as president. He did that very well. He won the debate.
So perfectly put. But it wasn't just pundits and commentators alike who could clearly see that J.D. Vance can't be trusted. It was also the voters who were responding in their focus groups after the debate who had really interesting perspective, like this one right here.
Debate. And I actually want to start with overall impressions, guys, because all 7 of you came in undecided. One of you said they've made up their mind. Ryan, who are you going to vote for, and what kind of solidified that opinion?
Well, I'm going to be voting for Kamala Harris. You know, one of the stark sort of aspects of that debate that really stuck with me was when they were talking about January 6th and how Mike Pence certified the election, and they were wondering if J.D. Vance would certify the election should Trump lose. And, you know, J.D. Vance didn't really give us a definitive answer. And
of course, we know that democracy is on the ballot this year, and unfortunately, some voters who are not as locked in, who aren't paying attention as much as us, do not. But I am glad to know this voter does, and that it is helping them make their decision to vote for Kamala Harris, to vote for Tim Walz, and to reject the lies, the attacks on democracy, and the conspiracies of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. And we're going to keep talking about that every single day, no matter what day it is. And today is, in fact, my 22nd birthday, and I am happy to be spending it with y'all, talking about these issues, talking about the debate, and we're going to keep doing that every single day. And until next time, I'll see you soon.